What's going on with everybody? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so. Hit that notification button. Like the video, because this is another question that's going to be, somewhat controversial. So here's the thing, right? After dropping that video, my response to Gunners Collective, which was on a positive note and on a positive perspective, the very first 10 or 12 comments, there's a lot of individuals just, being disrespectful, trolling me, whether they're playboys or not, whether they're Snoop disciples or not, or they're just individuals, regular civilians, actually just trying to encourage the feud and add fuel to the fire. None of it really affects me, because at the end of the day, like I said, internally, we all know what's going on amongst those that are still partakers and participants, and everybody else is just gonna pump it up. So I didn't really entertain it. Some of them were being a little too disrespectful, so I was getting rid of them. Like, bro, if you don't want to be here, or you don't like me as a person, or what I stand for, or who I am, or what I talk about, you ain't gotta be here. I'm not asking you to be here, because there's plenty of other individuals that are watching this YouTube channel and are being very supportive and very positive to my messages. So by all means, go ahead. The question I was asked is, how can you turn on one of your elders that is the sole founder of your movement? Isn't that disrespectful? And his name is Cesspool. Oh, no, it's not. His name isn't Cesspool. He goes, either way, you guys ain't nothing but a dirty cesspool. He, as the rider movement in itself, is what he's talking about. Well, here's the thing, because it's also going to pertain to the individuals that have been commenting and believing all the rumors and the falsifications and due to the backlash. See, he labels himself the sole founder only because the other founders at the time that actually were part of it in the beginning with him, like I said before, he was just the first one to go to the yard and actually take the negative stance against the NF, which wasn't really the NF at the time. It was Northern Structure on the yard. It wasn't really Familianos in that area. It was Northern Structure. They were doing their workouts when he engaged in Tracy DVI. So it wasn't until once I joined the movement and throughout time, I started noticing a lot of the beginning members that were there for it, starting it, eventually walked away because they seen all the drama that was taking place, and they seen how he was turning out to be. Just like Chino from San Jose. When I asked him when he stepped back, I was on the yard with him in Kern Valley. And he told me, he's like, bro, this is getting old, bro. It's turning into something way different than it was in the beginning. When we first started, he straight up said, he goes, it was just against the fight against tyranny. He goes, but we can't fight that fight no more because we're on the SNY side. Back then, it was 50-50 yards. So, yeah, we were going at it with the Northerners, trying to plant our position on the main line. It's like, no, we're not going to follow your rules. We're going to fight every chance we get so you guys can leave us alone. We're cool on these rules. We're cool on this suppression. We're cool against this bullying that's taking place. History has a habit of repeating itself, even till today. And he said, now that we're on the SNY side, the fight, it came to an end. A lot of us ain't going home. And the ones that are, they're the ones going to be the ones fighting it for us, because what are we doing here now? Chasing drugs, chasing money, chasing women on the internet, bickering on each other, picking on each other, playing a game of cat and mouse with one another, see who can stand, see who's strong, see who's weak, pushing each other back. He goes, every time I go to the day room, bro, it's something new we're arguing about. And it's something that's so dumb that could be dismissed, but Snoop keeps ruling with an iron fist because he wants things done his way, how he sees it. He goes, he's not asking about the rest of us that actually started it with them. And I just looked at the homie, and I was actually kind of discouraged a little bit. I was like, damn, because back then I was still young in the movement, so I was like, still you're walking away, bro, what the hell? But he did. And then Sumo was another one of them that was there in the beginning. And Snoop got rid of him. And then we had to the homies wind up, putting hands on him because I guess he did in fact get called out by a black and didn't want to fight the black. And the homies forced him to go fight that black. Then he got beat up. Then the homies had to jump in. And then the homies didn't like him for that because he actually was a coward or sack. He didn't want to fight this black dude. But Snoop was pressing a big issue on Sumo because around the time when I dropped the video about Scrappy's situation, Snoop was having us go to war with the Cinqueros over something that he did on the blacktop. A 2-5 was getting drunk, didn't like Snoop's attitude because Snoop thinks he can just talk to anybody Snoop thinks he can get in front of your face and yell at you and start pointing his finger in your face. And that Cinquero didn't like it. And even though the Cinquero was kind of drunk, Cinquero was like, hey, fool, get the fuck out of my face. And Snoop just kept yelling at him, getting in his face. Like, so you're lucky you're drunk, motherfucker. I'll beat your ass type of stuff. And that Cinquero challenged him. Hit him and snatched his chain. And so Snoop knocked him out. The two fighters jumped in. The compas jumped in at the time. So a lot of them that are no longer here, like Mo. Mo, for one, was, I don't remember where Mo was from, but he's no longer here because of what Snoop had him do, and we found out later about it, how he had Mo snitch on Scrappy's little gente only in hopes that it would stop Scrappy from growing. And then we found out about it, that Mo snitching, so Mo's no longer a part of us. And then Mo ended up turning into a dope fiend. And then you had a couple other individuals that were part of it, which was Chino was part of it too, and then he walked away afterwards. You know, it's stuff like that we had to deal with this individual on a constant basis. And when Snoop went to the hole for this little riot, he was labeled as one of the ones that instigated it. So he had to go to the hole. And he was shooting kites out to everybody else. Like, nah, y'all need to get off on these Cinqueros, bro. That was some disrespectful shit. He hit me. And a lot of the homies had their own mindset. Like, no, you started it. You guys took care of it. It's a dead issue. But you had a lot of, ambitious individuals like Scrappy and them, and that were kind of like, that fell through with it. They did it, wound up doing it later on, while the rest of everybody else was like, nah, they weren't abiding by the kite. Like, nah, bro, we're not going to mess up our program for your stupidity, for your actions, for your arrogance, thinking you could talk to any other group segment disrespectfully and rude. That's the kind of things that we have to deal with. And you don't know the whole story and the inner workings of it, the intricacies that take place. And even though he challenged me on YouTube, in which that's my problem and not nobody else's, that's between me and him, even though it's really public. I mean, now that it's public information, I don't see nothing wrong about talking about what we need to talk about, because a lot of people are intrigued and a lot of people want to listen, and why not? He's being entertaining. I'm being entertaining as well. He's the one that put our whole history out there to be public information, to the public domain. That was supposed to be something sacred. So you expect me to worship an individual for the longest time used to press the issue, like if we ever got caught with our paperwork, if we ever got caught doing this or doing that, we were reprimanded with severe consequences. But it's okay for him to do it, just to make him look good, just so he can stay relevant, knowing that he's not coming home no more, just so he can get a little couple $100 on his books, even though he's pretty well taken care of. I'm pointing out the aspects that needed to be pointed out on my behalf, for my situation, and for my fellow brothers that are actually listening and looking, and the ones that never been to prison. I want them to realize and open their eyes. Like, look what you're getting into. Like, I'm not telling you guys to follow this man, and I'm sure in hell I ain't telling nobody to follow me. I'm asking everybody to see the bigger picture here. If you read a lot of the other comments, you'll see a lot of individuals call this individual straight J-Cat, narcissistic, egotistical, maniac, whatever they want to call him. Just like a lot of people call me a stat bag, pushback, piece of shit, J-Cat. I'm getting called everything. But he started this. And he lost a lot of members in doing so. And including Sumo. We wound up getting rid of Sumo because Sumo could not follow through with his orders for that. And then Sumo wound up going out anyway, so it didn't even matter. But a lot of the remaining the only remaining individual left that was around the time when he was there is Boxer. And Boxer's from Broderick. And Boxer's looked at with the utmost highest regard in our movement because he did the most sacrifices. More than Snoop. See, the thing about it, Snoop don't pick up weapons like that. And that's sad to say. In the 20 years that he has, he don't engage with weapons. He thinks he could just knock everybody else out. And I got paperwork right here that I'm eventually show on my channel when I had to pick up a weapon, and even though I'm going home. I was going home at the time. Boxer, and there's a lot of other, especially when I talk about Solo. And I'm going to write Solo, and I want to write, because Solo stepped back because of Snoop's antics. And Solo was probably one of the biggest killers that we ever had. The way he was killing, he was in there for life. He's killed multiple people in there for us, and that individual is probably one of the most solid individuals I ever met, and he walked away. And I still got mad. I got more respect for him than I do for Snoop. Because Snoop could sit here and call himself the sole founder, but that just makes him believe that he don't have to do nothing. Only what he wants to do. That man's primary focus has always been himself. What he can gain from these yards. There's been times where there'll be personal problems happening, and his leadership advice would be necessary, but yeah, he want to have a conversation with the sergeants just so he can get a better job, like in R&R or something. That's the kind of type of individual he is. He'd be talking to other group segments trying to see if he can get the fattest sack on the yard so he can go party and have fun and go make his spreads and do YouTube videos for it. That's the kind of selfish person he is. So you can't sit here and tell me, why am I disowning one of my soul founders? Because in reality, he's not the soul. You're just saying that because this is the information that you heard. Just like a lot of these individuals are going off the information of what they hear on these other platforms and then running at me and talking shit to me, which it doesn't bother me. I don't really care. Everybody's going to believe what they want to believe at the end of the day. I'm thankful for my success, and I'm thankful for a lot of these subscribers that are actually paying attention and actually look forward to my stories. So, with that being said, hey, to each his own. Like I said before, he's going to do what he wants to do. I'm going to do what I choose to do. But you're still looking at it from an outside angle as an active person anyways. You still got that prejudgmental phase in your head where no matter what we do, we're still, how did you call us, a cesspool of basura, of trash? So really, it doesn't really matter. But I still thought I would answer your question because, like I said, I will answer anybody's question on this platform to the best of my ability. When it makes sense, because some of you guys some of the trolls do talk a lot of shit, and I just look at it like, that's fine and all, but you can do that on somebody else's channel because nobody really wants to hear it. Nobody pays attention. Some people don't really care about my situation. They just like the stories. And I think that's awesome of them if they want to just, utilize their time to hear a good prison story. But some of you guys can't accept that. And instead, you guys want to just frown upon me because I'm actually became somewhat successful doing it. And I'm just trying to turn this into a positive thing for myself to benefit myself in the long run. Whether it's a positive message or whether I get hurt from it, just like Savage Studios, rest in peace. This is my thing, and I'm going to continue to do what I want to do. And another individual said, hey, why not publish your book? Because you're debriefing everything else on here. If you're going to talk about the 14 bonds, it's still debriefing. See, here's the thing. You can actually Google the 14 bonds in the Norteno format, and it's public information. Just like a lot of our aspects of our movement have now became public information. So there's nothing to hide anymore. It can't be used against us because it's already out there. So the thing that I want to do with that type of literature and those indoctrinations is a lot of the world, I want the whole world to see how they are useful, how they're a benefit to a lot of people, not just the gang culture, but the culture in general. But how also they've been used in the wrong ways to keep our people locked up. Because at the end of the day, the Familianos created the Norteños for what? To secure the main lines, to create a safe haven for the people, for the Northern Chicanos, to get them home, to protect them. And that's what those bonds were initially started for. And so our people can grow and stop being just what they call fameros or just simple gang members, the gang mentality. We're all trying to change that, just like I'm trying to change my brother's mentality too. Like, bro, we're not gang members, so don't be coming out here trying to you see a northerner and you just bang on them, throwing out the playboy when they thinking it's cool, and don't get mad when they retaliate and they start knocking us down, bro, because you guys are initiating gang antics when we're not a gang. So we need to stop acting like a gang. But the thing about it is, Snoop is turning it into a prison gang and a political party when he shouldn't have. This is a movement. Our people are supposed to be out here doing what they do best. And now he got in his feelings because I disrespected him. And oh well, like I said, that's between us. But those bonds can be utilized in a lot of great ways. So I'm not really debriefing on nothing that hasn't been talked about already. I just want to show the world how I was taught. Because I think it could be useful, and I think it's very interesting because there's a lot of people on these channels, a greater audience, man. We got to stop thinking within this gang culture that all this information needs to be shared with gang members only because we only relate to it. No, there's a broader aspect out there, a greater mass that's really interested and intrigued of what we do with ourselves, how we teach ourselves, the way we grow, the way we expand, the way we think, the way we live. And because of my platform, I want to be the individual to actually share that with the world. Just like the same way a lot of you guys will go on YouTube and watch videos about, these biker gangs or these white supremacy groups or anything in particular. You guys are watching about the Mexican mafia knowing damn well you ain't never been a part of it, or you're a northerner from Northern California. You're fascinated with the culture. You like to see what's going on. Well, there's a world out there who's fascinated with everything and anything that we do. So why not share it with everybody? So with that being said, I hope I answered both of you guys' questions. You know, stay positive. I don't mean to come off disrespectful to anybody. I just, like I said, I'm going to answer a lot of these questions to the best of my ability. And I have so many more questions that I got to answer. I just got to take my time with them. Tonight I was writing letters to some of the fellas in prison, you know, printing out pictures and shit so they can feel somewhat like, you know, somewhat like they're not forgotten. Like, you know, people do care about them. And I care about a lot of my brothers, especially the ones that I had done batteries with. Every couple of weeks, maybe once a month, I'll take one of my days off and I'll write my letters and, you know, do what I got to do. I don't send a lot of JPays, but, you know, they get books and magazines. So, hey, to each his own, man. Send my love to everybody.